Imagine the level to which the US can fall into playing dirty politics. Since it is obsessed with Huawei, it wants every country to ban it. Perhaps it's haunted by Huawei and the technological edge it has. European countries like the UK and tens of US allies gave up to that pressure and banned Huawei. But not all countries are the same. Now the US is putting tremendous pressure on South Africa to ban Huawei. Yet South Africa's ambassador to BRICS said that the country will never accept this and will never ban Huawei no matter what the US does. Now the US wants to punish South Africa, but China won't allow that. So what's the whole story? Welcome back to another exciting episode of our channel. Innovation Diary brings you China's innovation stories, projects, and growing influence in different parts of the world. If you are new to the channel and enjoy learning about fast-paced modernity, especially China's development and growing power, you will definitely find our videos intriguing. In this video, we will explain how the US is pressuring South Africa to ban Huawei, and it has gotten exposed so badly. Let's get started. Just recently, South Africa exposed how it is being tremendously pressured to ban Huawei in the country and suspend all its operations. You can guess where this pressure will be coming from. Perhaps the US thought that, like all Western countries, it can use South Africa as its pawn against China. But it forgot that South Africa is part of BRICS, an economic alliance set to push aside G7. And this means that South Africa won't ask or follow the US orders. Not anymore. The US might have a habit of telling other countries what to do, but now, that has to stop. Anil Suklal, South Africa's ambassador to the BRICS bloc, has once again underlined the country's firm commitment. The US has been forcing countries to cut off from China. Either those countries followed the orders or faced consequences for not following. But in all that, the US was never exposed. No country directly said that it was facing tremendous pressure from the US. Yes, that's the case with Italy now, which is planning to leave the Belt and Road Initiative by being forced by the US. Recent times have witnessed various countries encountering heightened influence from the United States, urging them to adopt a tougher stance against China. This is particularly pronounced given the ongoing tensions surrounding Taiwan and the intense competition in cutting-edge domains like artificial intelligence, computer chips, and quantum computing. These tensions have led to global concerns regarding the possibility of China misusing Huawei's presence in vital telecommunications networks for espionage or disruptive purposes. But let's think about it differently. Why is every Chinese company considered to be engaging in espionage when most US companies have access to customers' private data? By instilling an air of doubt, the US makes countries hostile. That has been its signature policy: use fear and get countries to do what it wants. You can see this in the case of Finland and Sweden, which had vowed to stay out of NATO. But the US used Russia's fear and got them into NATO. Speaking at the University of KwaZulu-Natal, Anil Suklal emphasized the immense pressure exerted by the United States on South Africa, pressuring them to suspend ties with Huawei's network. He highlighted that while the US has taken steps to ban Huawei, and a substantial portion of Europe has followed suit with prohibitions on Chinese technology, South Africa is resolutely forging its own path. In other words, even if European countries are choosing to be used and become a plaything in the US hand, South Africa will not. It's because this time, South Africa is not alone. Rather, it's a member of an alliance that haunts the West, BRICS. The bond between South Africa and China is profound, with China serving as South Africa's largest trading partner. So, banning a Chinese company like Huawei is out of the question. Yet there is another reason. In decades, the US has done literally nothing to help Africa progress. No Western telecommunication and smartphone reached Africa and vowed to develop the region digitally. It's because that has never been the West's goal. It wanted to monopolize technology and keep those nations it holds a grudge against away from it. Before we continue further, tell us, are you enjoying the video? If yes, please like and share the video and subscribe to our channel for more videos about China's development, power, and influence on the world. Let's continue now. A major gap existed in Africa, which Huawei decided to fill. Since communication with the rest of the world is essential to bolster trade, Huawei's role was crucial. In simple words, it was helping African economies to digitalize and increase their exposure to the outer world. Yes, Huawei has played an instrumental role in contributing to South Africa's progress by facilitating technology transfers over the years. It has made the very foundations of the technological ground Africa is standing today. And ignoring all this, the US wants South Africa to ban Huawei. Either the US lives in a completely irrational world, or perhaps it is in grandiosity to think all its wishes are commands for other countries. However, it should try to wake up and see the ground realities. It's asking things which a dictator would, and gone are the times of dictators. If the US conflicts with China or its companies, it has to fight alone. But that's not possible. You see, the US never wants to fight its own battles. Rather, it wants other countries to do it, while being safe itself. Huawei has woven itself into the very fabric of South African technology, becoming an indispensable component. The idea of asking Huawei to depart is equal to a betrayal, a path that South Africa staunchly refuses to walk on. President Cyril Ramaphosa of South Africa extended a warm welcome to the inauguration of a new Huawei Innovation Center in Johannesburg earlier. He praised the Chinese company for demonstrating its confidence in the South African economy and its potential. Ramaphosa emphasized that adopting Huawei's innovative technologies could propel Africa forward, enabling it to swiftly embrace the fourth industrial revolution. Huawei has already established a significant digital presence across much of Africa, a region grappling with connectivity challenges. For South Africa, expanding digital infrastructure serves as a primary engine for economic growth. The advancement of information technology is pivotal to enhancing its economy's competitiveness, which Huawei can offer. While South Africa holds the title of the continent's most industrialized nation, it grapples with pressing unemployment challenges. President Ramaphosa expressed hope that the Huawei Innovation Center would spark the rise of new local information and communication technology enterprises, thereby contributing to job creation. This in turn means that Huawei is willing to power South Africa's own telecommunication capacities. Instead of keeping the technology secret, Huawei wants South Africa to be independent and expand its digital networks. And the US gets panicked here. It's because if this happens, Africa won't need Western powers for the problems created by the West. Not only that, but the West, especially the US, fears Huawei's increasing share of African markets. This leaves no space for Western companies, which have been thinking of entering Africa. Yet it will also give China the upper hand in knowing Africa better, making its influence more organic. Earlier this year, some US lawmakers expressed concerns about South Africa's connections with China, including its use of Chinese technology. It's because Telkom, a partly state-owned telecom operator in South Africa, introduced its 5G network using Huawei technology last year. China has been extending its digital Silk Road, which is a part of the larger Belt and Road initiative across sub-Saharan Africa. In this region, less than 30% of people use the internet. Huawei's subsidiaries own a significant portion, up to 70% of the 4G networks in this area. This isn't something usual. Forging internet connections for 70% of a continent is a phenomenal feat pulled by Huawei. Now its task is to increase that to 100%, after which 5G can be launched. Already, Huawei has been launching 5G connectivity in selected parts of Africa. For example, in 2022, Ethiopia celebrated the launch of a 5G network in Addis Ababa, powered by Huawei. While the US has been trying to catch up with China's influence in Africa, China has criticized US officials for cautioning African nations against relying on Chinese technology. Well, that's true, because whenever the US loses something, it tries to destroy it. You see, doubts can affect countries' relations in the worst way possible, and the US wants African countries to be doubtful of China. However, interestingly, these dirty tricks pulled by the US are not working, as it has already lost its reputation. Yes, another US propaganda failed. If the US thinks it can instill fear of Huawei in Africa and send its companies to take its place, it's a most beautiful fairy tale. You see, African leaders trust China more than anything because China believes in mutual respect and economic benefits. Histories tell a lot about nations too. China, in its centuries-long history, had never exploited any nation. It's a fact that can never be changed, no matter how much the US propagandized it. However, if we look at Western history, they left no nation unexploited. Now, perhaps it's the best time for the US to come to its senses and leave playing dirty games. We would like to take a moment to appreciate you all for commenting and sharing your opinions. Your insights always impress us. Now tell us, can the US ever find reliable allies after knowing this? Isn't it what the US does to every country? Let us know your take on the fact that China's allies don't have to follow US orders, as South Africa rejected